Hello, I'm Steve Suggs, co-developer of the Recruit the Best system and author of the book Can They Sell and the companion field manual. Thank you for joining me. During the next few minutes, I'll give you a review of the Recruit the Best system and the tools used to select team members who can really sell. For the past 30 years, I've been in sales, sales management, and coaching sales managers to recruit the best salespeople. At the time of this recording, over 825 agents have been through the Recruit the Best training. I currently spend 1 to 6 hours per day on the phone coaching agents while they're making recruiting decisions. And managers at over 30 financial services companies have purchased our resources. I'm eager to serve you. Thank you for taking the time to review this powerful process. Before we get into the details of the system, let's look at why it's important to master the knowledge and tools of a system that helps us make better hiring decisions. To understand the full impact of hiring the wrong team member, Curtis Gilbert, sales leader in West Palm Beach, Florida, conducted a study and discovered that it cost an agent $70,000 per year when an agent hires a mediocre selling team member versus a high-producing team member. Money is lost in areas that include training cost, lost sales, licensing expense, lost renewals, and low team morale. As an agent, you also work longer hours, you're more stressed, and you spend less time with your friends and family when you don't have the right team members in place. Now let's listen and learn as Bill Whitley interviews one of your fellow agents who's using the Recruit the Best system to build a strong agency. Each month, Bill interviews top agents and distributes those interviews to the members of his 8 Secrets Mastermind group. Learn more about his mastermind group at billwhittley.com.
This month, I interview Peyton Pettus. Peyton has built an amazing agency. He has 15 full-time staff and 3 part-time, and his agency frequently writes 600 to 650 applications per month. In order to achieve that level of production, Peyton has created a recruiting and training machine. And his formula for success is recruiting people who aspire to become agents. So listen in as Peyton shares his agency growth ideas.
Peyton, one of the things that I know you've done so well is recruiting and developing team members that aspire to become agents. And I know because of that attitude they have, your production's been really high. How many accounts do you guys write on average per month?
When I'm at full team, regardless of the numbers, we're typically doing somewhere between 600 and 650 applications a month. Auto, fire, and financial services combined.
That is amazing, and I know everybody would love to hear more about how you do that. So tell us about how you've grown your agency, and I know that recruiting team members that aspire to become agents has been a big part of the strategy. Tell us, how do you do that, and just give us a little glimpse into that strategy.
Yeah, I mean, a glimpse of it, I essentially bought into the Aspirant program 3 or 4 years ago, probably before it was even called the Aspirant program. And essentially I wanted to give young entrepreneurs an opportunity that where they could come work with me for a few years and learn and mentor, hopefully under me, or at least be in a system where they could get training. Whether I could give it to them or not is yet to be determined, but at least give an opportunity to come in and learn and grow and write business for my agency, which is obviously a win for me, but also develop them and develop their competencies and develop their production levels to a point where they would be attractive candidates to go out and interview for other positions. So what turned out to be an idea turned into a tough hiring process on the front end of really finding the right person. And so when I opened up my second agency, I was kind of forced to go find new people. And it was just probably one of the best things that ever happened to me. I mean, I had 3 or 4 new, young, energetic candidates that were injected into my culture, and that in turn affected the whole culture. And then when one of those 3 or 4 went out and got the numbers that became kind of superstar-like, then the other 3 went chasing it because they were competitive. And so the whole idea for these guys and the carrot for these guys is to become an agent. It's not to come work for me. I only want a commitment for 3 years. But they want to be an agent, and they're working for essentially my recommendation for them to be an agent. So I have a responsibility to be a responsible agent, a high-producing agent, do the right things from a company standpoint so that when I do recommend them, that my word means something too. So I'm certainly responsible for that, and I keep up my end of the bargain as long as they keep up theirs. And so now it's become kind of a revolving type of door in a positive sense that, when they come on board, the first conversation we have with them is, hey, listen, we're going to train and we're going to role play daily here. And we're going to work on skills and product knowledge daily here so that you've got to train your replacement. And so that puts immediately day one an emphasis on, hey, I got to take this training thing seriously, because if I ever want to go be an agent and get Peyton's recommendation, I've got to really be able to train my replacement. And I ain't going anywhere until it happens. And so that accountability starts taking care of itself. And so when I'm interviewing somebody and I think I've got the right candidate, I really have a lot of confidence when my team members interview them that they're either going to hire or not hire the right person, because they know they've got to train that person. So it's a pretty neat deal we've got set up, and I'm more confident than I've ever been in my career in that I really feel like I can grow whatever. 600 applications, that's just a number. If I wanted to grow 2,000 applications a month, I could do it. It's just a matter of finding the right people and plugging them into my system. I feel that confident about where we're at.
Very good. So a couple things I'd love to know more about. One is finding the right person, and then two is the kind of training you do. How do you go about recruiting the right person?
That's a constantly developed system and process in and of itself. I enjoy that process. A lot of people run away from that piece, and I think it's the most important thing, obviously, that we do. And so I have several different layers of processes that I have in place to be consistent. So I'm constantly filling my funnel and my pipeline with candidates, not necessarily qualified candidates, but candidates. Some in particular ones, I constantly send out letters to centers of influence in the community and within my book of business from a commercial standpoint, letting them know and defining the type of people that I'm hiring. And so almost like I'm running an ad, I'm running that ad to the centers of influence and the people within my book of business, and I'm putting them on the payroll. I'm giving them a $200 referral bonus for anybody that I hired that they send to me. And I tell them the specific qualities of aspirants and what I'm looking for. So that has worked.
In that letter, what are some of the specific qualities that you're looking for?
I'm looking for high energy, high attitude with a willingness to learn. I'm looking for flexibility and somebody willing to work non-traditional hours. I'm looking for somebody that eventually will have some sort of flexibility in their mobility of their location, so they might not be stuck to one place. The reality of it, if they want to be an agent, there might be some mobility required, whether that means going to Atlanta or going to Oregon for the best opportunity available. That, in a nutshell, is what I'm looking for. And I'm looking also for a propensity, and I don't mention it in the letter, but I'm looking for a propensity of a score on the profile that I do through the Can They Sell profile program. The CTS profile is what I use, and that's been excellent for me.
Okay, great.
That's Steve Suggs' program.
Got it. So high energy, high attitude, willingness to learn, flexibility, willing to work non-traditional hours.
I put the compensation structure in there too. It's low base, high commission type of structure, and I'm just as realistic and transparent with it on the front end so that I'm attracting the right people.
Got it. So when you send out those letters with, here's the kind of person I'm looking for, I'm sure it helps your circle of influence and the people in your book of business to really identify the kind of candidate. So the people they're sending you are already pre-qualified, maybe to some extent.
To some extent, they are.
All right. Very good.
And then I call them. The University of Georgia is really close. We call them. I do probably 3 to 4 career fairs a year. And then once I find one person, so if I find one and they're a good fit for the culture, for what they're doing, their production levels are high, I typically am best off by going in and tapping into their referral network. So like one of my most recent aspirant that went out and has his own agency, I actually hired his 2 best friends. Very high-end personality, high-energy guys. They ran in the same circles. They understood the language I was talking to them. They understand the non-traditional hours, low base, high salary, commissions, and they all want to be agents and business owners. So they were drawn and attracted to that entrepreneurship of the business ownership.
Very good. And I interrupted you before, but it sounds like 3 key things. One is the letters. 2 might be the career fairs, and you mentioned doing 4 at University of Georgia. And then the third one, and a key one, would be tapping into the referral network of the aspirants that you hire.
Correct.
Any other things that you're doing to recruit, or would you say those are the three key things?
I do all the things everybody else does with regards to Craigslist, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook. I've got my career plug URL everywhere, and so I'm constantly pushing people that might be interested towards that portal where they can go and officially apply online. I can scrub them as they come in, scrub their resume, and then send them out a CTS profile. So that really knocks out 80% of the riffraff. I mean, if I'm looking at 100 people, only 20 of them are going to make them through the first two steps, and then those 20, those are the people that set up phone interviews and second face-to-face interviews, et cetera. So essentially, what they do is I'll get them to apply online through my Career Plug website, and as they come in, I'll start the CTS Steve Suggs Sales Profile. I'm looking for a score in the high 70s to low 80s on the CTS Sales Profile, and if they qualify that number, then that's when I'll essentially set up a phone interview, which is a 15-minute phone interview, and all I'm looking for there is their phone voice. We got a thing where we're looking for folks that can really talk on the phone, because that's where our sales are being initiated in our world right now, and so that's got to be just a must. And if they qualify with a phone voice, we'll set up a face-to-face interview in which they come in. I use, again, Steve Suggs' approach to interviewing, detailed questions, looking for specific answers. If they don't qualify with the specific answers, we just move on. It's a very strict process. It's not a lot of talking by me. It's a lot of listening, asking questions and listening, and charting. But if they make it through that round, then they're pretty good. If they make it through that first interview, then we know we're probably going to like them, and I'll invite them back for a second face-to-face interview where they meet my team members. My team members have a team interview guide also provided by Steve Suggs' program. And if they pass that guide, we'll go ahead and give them one more scoring profile on the Wonderlic, and we're looking for a Wonderlic score typically of 24 or above in our market, just to make sure that they're smart enough to understand the processes and the systems that we have in place here from a systematic standpoint. And then after that 30-day point, they've got a period where they're on a 120-day probationary period, so that's essentially 4 months. So months 2 through 4, they're starting to enter their activity and their production. But I mean, most of these guys by the third month, they're up and running, and they're doing 60 to 80 apps minimum with a lot of premium, high quality. And usually they're over 100 apps by that 4th to 5th month.
Thanks, Peyton, and thanks, Bill. Again, if you would like to hear more interviews like this, just visit billwhitley.com and look for his mastermind group. Let's now explore the details of the Recruit the Best system. The Recruit the Best system helps agents answer these questions and concerns. First, what do I look for to choose the best from the rest? This training begins with exploring the 5 dimensions of the best salesperson who can sell in a high-activity, high-rejection environment. We must first of all know exactly what we're looking for in each candidate, and then use a process for measuring these traits and competencies. We first measure for character. We measure for the traits of concern for others, honesty, strong work ethic, accepting responsibility for the outcomes of one's actions. We then measure for the 2 attitudes of having a passion for solving the problems of your customers using your products and a positive image as a salesperson. We then measure for one or both of these motivations, earning income and the things that it provides, and/or competing for the top spot on the sales team and the plaques and awards and trips that come when high production is achieved. We then measure for these 9 personality traits using a validated personality profile that measures each candidate against the benchmarked ranges on all 9 traits. The CTS Sales Profile provides a score for each candidate and ratings on 5 important sales competencies. These first 4 dimensions will predict the level at which a person will master the 5th dimension, sales skills. We want to know the level of experience and potential level of mastery of the entire sales process, beginning with finding prospects all the way through the closing of the sale. The next question this training answers is, how do I look for these traits and skills? This section helps you measure the 5 dimensions using tools and steps. This best practice recruiting system has 3 stages: screening, profiling, and interviewing. In Stage 1, screening, we screen by resume, by phone, and by email. Candidates who make it past this stage are then moved to Stage 2, profiling, where they will complete the CTS Sales Profile. Candidates who make it past this stage move to Stage 3, interviewing, where we complete an initial interview references, and complete a final interview. We then fill out the matching score sheet, which scores the candidate in the 5 dimensions of the best salesperson mentioned earlier. We hire those individuals who have high scores in all of the 5 dimensions. Using this process gives us the strengths and weaknesses of our new sales rep and the best way to coach them. With this training, you'll have a track to run on and a process to follow, so that you can go from making a gut decision to making a highly informed, logical decision. These tools help you avoid the feeling of, how could I have missed this character flaw in this person? Here is one of the tools that you'll find in the field manual, the Recruit the Best checklist. This tool guides you step by step through each stage of the process. By completing each step before moving to the next step, you collect information on each candidate and move the strongest candidates to the next step. This tool, along with the comprehensive interview questionnaires, take the guesswork out of whether or not a candidate can sell. These steps include work samples that measure whether or not a candidate can follow instructions and respond to the assignment in a timely manner. The next section in this training answers the question, where do I find enough of the best salespeople? The most frustrating part of the recruiting process is having enough strong candidates to choose from. This module teaches how to build a recruiting referral network of individuals who will continuously send you strong resumes. I give you more than 15 places to find high-quality prospects. We explore secrets of using social networking sites as well as maximizing relationships in your community in order to find a continuous flow of strong resumes. The next section covers interviewing skills. You'll learn the science behind human interaction that allows you to see through the smoke screens of candidates during the interview process. You'll learn to use interviewing techniques that'll help you attract the best candidates and repel the worst candidates, so that you'll not get snowed during the interview and avoid the costly hiring decisions of the past. In the next section, you'll learn to use the CTS Sales Profile. This training session will teach you a high-powered personality profile that uses science to measure the hardwired personality traits of high-performing salespeople. The CTS will give you the greatest amount of information about a candidate's sales potential in the shortest amount of time. It's the best tool in the entire system that helps you see through any smokescreens. Also, you determine if they're likable and if they can sell. Let's take a few minutes to review the highlights of the CTS. We've worked with Dr. Larry Kraft and his team, who are leaders in the personality assessment world, to develop this tool specifically for measuring the most important traits related to sales performance. The CTS has been validated for a high-activity sales professional. This means that it has been benchmarked for the selling team member and agent aspirant that you're looking for. This gives you the assurance that you're measuring the specific hardwired personality traits that relate directly to mastering sales skills and getting sales targets. The CTS measures 7 hardwired personality traits and 2 behavioral traits that predict whether or not a person will maintain high levels of sales activities, rebound from rejection, network to find prospects, and master the face-to-face sales process. This is the most detailed and powerful tool available for measuring sales performance. The CTS provides you with reports for both recruiting salespeople and for coaching new and existing reps. When you look at a report generated from a personality assessment, it's important that you have assurance that the scores you're provided are accurate for the candidate who completed the questionnaire. There are 3 ways you can receive wrong or inaccurate scores. Number 1, the candidate didn't understand the questions because of a cultural barrier. Number 2, The candidate didn't give thoughtful consideration to the questions. They simply scanned through the questionnaire and randomly checked answers. Number 3, the candidate tried to guess the right answer that would help them get the job. In other words, they attempted to fake the assessment. We've created the most powerful algorithms on any personality assessment in order to warn you in the event your candidates struggle with the questionnaire, don't care about their answers, or attempt to fake the questionnaire. The Reliability Index and Response Distortion Index provide you with a low, moderate, or high rating, giving you an indication of the validity of your candidate's scores. Let's now take a look at the CTS Sales Profile Report. This report is for a high-producing selling team member. The overall score is 95 with 2 hours per month of coaching time. This report shows the ideal ranges on each of the 9 traits in the green and the candidate score in relation to the ideal range. The candidate's actual score in relationship to the ideal score, the middle of the green, generates the overall score of 95. We can also see from this report that she scored high on the Reliability Index and the Response Distortion Index, which means we can trust the scores provided. The second page of this report provides overall scores in the areas of sales competencies for finding prospects, maintaining high activity, handling rejection, setting appointments, and selling face-to-face. As you can see, the CTS provides very valuable information for determining whether or not your candidate has the ideal personality traits for a high-activity salesperson. This next sales profile report is one of a low-producing selling team member. His score is 30, with 6 to 8 hours of monthly coaching time. Notice that most of his scores on the 9 traits are outside the green ideal ranges. On page 2 of this report, you'll notice that he scores low on most all of the sales competencies. The next sales profile report is for a highly rated servicing team member. We've benchmarked the CTS for a servicing team member. You'll notice that the green ranges have been changed to reflect the ideal ranges for each of the 9 traits for someone that must perform primarily servicing duties. The CTS provides an 11-page detailed coaching report for each individual. You'll have information to coach your new rep in the areas of their strengths, improvement opportunities, using the detailed coaching recommendations. To purchase the CTS, go to ctssalesprofile.com, click on Buy Now, locate the box where you can enter a code, and enter the appropriate code. You can purchase an annual contract for unlimited CTS use for either $49 per month for those with less than 10 team members or $69 per month for those with more than 10 team members. You can also purchase a CTS at $95 each. As a CTS customer, you can contact me by phone for on-phone coaching and interpretation of each assessment. There are several ways to obtain the training resources discussed today. Go to cantheysell.com. Here you can watch a free training video, purchase the Can They Sell book, which contains all the knowledge for recruiting that we've discussed today. You can also purchase the field manual, which contains all the tools and questionnaires we discussed. There's a field manual for both a selling and a servicing team member. If you scroll to the bottom of the page and enter your name and email address, I'll email you a link to 3 additional training videos. Many agents desire to accelerate the learning process, so I've created a 2-hour over-the-phone training session. This session covers all the information in the book, in the field manual, and on the videos in a 2-hour period. After this training session, you're ready to begin to use the system along with the CTS Sales Profile. This is the quickest way to gain the knowledge and begin to use the tools. The cost of this training is $295 per person. If you bring more than 3 people together for the 2-hour session, the price drops to $250 per person. This investment includes a book, field manual, and 1 free CTS profile. I'm also available for on-site training. I'll travel to your location for a 5-hour workshop where we'll cover the entire Recruit the Best system. Please contact me for details and cost. Following are some frequently asked questions. Why does the system work better than what I'm currently doing? When you have the knowledge of the 5 dimensions of the best salesperson, you know what a perfect salesperson looks like. You then have the tools to measure all the candidates against perfection. This helps you gain a clear understanding of each candidate's strengths and weaknesses compared to the perfect salesperson rather than comparing each person against those in your current pool of candidates. The Recruit the Best system gives you a track to run on so that you make an informed decision. Who else in my company is using the system? Go to this link and download a list of agents and sales leaders you can contact. What is the difference between the CTS and other assessments? The CTS is the most high-powered and validated tool on the market today, built specifically for measuring sales behaviors. The Reliability Index and Response Distortion Index assure you that the scores you're receiving on each candidate are accurate and valid. The detailed reports give you specific information related to the 4 main sales competencies: maintaining high levels of sales activities, rebounding from rejection, networking to find prospects, and selling face-to-face. The CTS has been validated and benchmarked specifically for a high-activity salesperson, just like the selling team member and agent aspirant you're recruiting. The CTS was created by some of the most prominent experts in the field of personality profiling. You will benefit from their 40 years of experience in creating personality assessments that measure specific sales behaviors. How do you help me while using your system? If you create a CTS account or purchase the CTS individually, your investment in the CTS includes a coaching call with me for each candidate. Agents tell me this is the most valuable part of my service. I spend several hours each day on the phone with agents discussing the details of each candidate. During these phone calls, you receive information about the CTS along with several next step actions to take with the candidate based upon the red flags identified. Thank you for joining me today. It would be my pleasure to serve you. Here's my contact information, so feel free to contact me by phone or email and visit the websites provided here. At salesmanage.com website, click on blog. There you'll find over 40 5-minute recruiting training videos. Thank you again. Now go recruit the best.